coming in. Vladimir Putin has welcomed Laos into the SCO as a partner member. Applications from a dozen states are currently being considered for the observer, I beg your partner status. Let me also bring in Professor Aman Agarwal into this conversation once again. Professor Agarwal, this is obviously one more reason for India to celebrate, as like I said earlier on as well. It's a diplomatic victory at a number of levels. India got to say what it had to. India, of course, fomented further ties with Russia. India also went on to give a message to China and, of course, Pakistan in direct terms that terrorism in all its forms will not stand. But what actually all these countries are in fact worried about and working towards is a new world order, perhaps a new lifeline when it comes to securing trade and proliferating and expanding trade into countries that they are perhaps not used to. Do you think that the tariffs have galvanized a feeling in most of these countries to find newer markets, and it's always a blessing in disguise when you have to face such problems?
No, I think what you rightly said is it's a blessing in disguise. In fact, the old Silk Route was coming from the old Hindustan, not at that time India. And let me put it very point blank, all countries across the globe are friends with India, not to misread or in any form, including Pakistan. We have provided support to Pakistan both in terms of grains, in terms of medicine, even during COVID and otherwise in the past, whenever they've had earthquakes and others, despite our discontentments on border and wars which have happened between Pakistan and India. So there is no question it was a part of India before it was created as India and Pakistan. So let us understand very, very frankly that trade is something which has connected India traditionally for over 3,000 years across the globe. Europe would not know textile and spices if it was not for Indian traders to take those spices and textiles to Europe. Some of the communities have interlocking with Indian heritage as well, going to Nordic Europe as well, and even towards Hungary and other countries. So there is no question of non-friendship, and I think that is something which is liked by people across the globe, that the way we feature ourselves as a non-biased country in terms of trade and equity for all in terms of doing business. India's, fortunately, growth path structure with fiscal control by the government has led to the fastest growing economy in the world post-COVID, and it has contained to that level even today. This quarter, we were able to witness a 7.8% GDP growth rate despite the turbulences of oil prices going up for India, despite Ukraine-Russia war, despite India-Pakistan war, despite trade tariff structures. 25% extra which is put has been categorically marked by Trump is because of the relationship India enjoys with Russia and the fact that we have been buying oil from Russia in the last couple of months, and we are doing ruble trade with them. So we have been bearing costs for our friendship. Not that we do not want to continue our friendship. We will continue our friendship in our own terms with whichever country we want. It is not something for any country, whether it is United States or Ukraine or Russia or anyone else, to decide who India deals with or doesn't deal with. Diplomatically, it has been done well. Economically, we are doing well. As I said, despite all these turbulences, when Europe is having hyperinflation and not able to stabilize, when Fed is not able to stabilize United States of America and US is going down the drain, and that's where Trump is wanting to raise this tariff framework to raise more money in their own economy, India has been doing well, primarily because of the fact the way government policies and the fiscal spending has been brought under control by this government in the last 2 terms, and no extravagant spending is happening on account of just giving sweets to people at large. I think that is something which Standard & Poor's also appreciated just on 27th when Trump launched the 50% tariff rate, stating that the long-term rating was upgraded from BBB minus to BBB, and the short-term rating was upgraded from A3 to A2, clearly talking about the stability in the economy. They're talking about the macroeconomic structures, talking about the policy framework implementation, and the inflation being under control. Now, these are some things which are critical for an economy. fortunately, we have trading partners and trading companies from all over the world, and they are making business for themselves and for the country and for even outside, taking the products produced here by these companies to different part of the world. So I think we are a trade-friendly country from the very beginning. We lost our independence for 200 years because of trade. And I think that has not deterred away from us being a trading country even today. And I think that is something which marks the fact that we are welcoming to walk hand in hand with all countries, including the United States of America, which we have trade with roughly ranging between 55 to 62% of our trade still contains with the United States. So not to say that we are voting against anybody or going against anybody, we are very clear. We are against terrorism. That's what the part with Pakistan is, that which is flushing terrorism in this country. This government has not only been able to control that with the effect of demonetization as a side effect, because a huge chunk of money used to come into this country and we used to see blasts happening in some or the other market, almost in all zones of this country, almost every month, practically every month, which has largely stopped in the last 7 to 8 years. I think that is something which needs to be appreciated, that we are not seeing those kind of human losses, and we are trying to make up. The way people, Indian citizens, were evacuated from troubled zones, war zones, whether it was Ukraine or others, was commendable. And again, because we had good relations with Ukraine, we had good relations with some of the other countries across, and that's where the foreign secretary did, and the minister did a very good job in terms of taking
really,
the
yeah, you're right, Professor Agarwal.
interest.
You're absolutely right. Let me, in fact, rope in Gerard into this conversation as well. Gerard,